Welcome to our 30-minute live Q&A session. I'm Ify, your go-to immigration lawyer. Come on in, guys. Today, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of fiancé visa versus spousal visa. And after that, I'll be here to answer your immigration questions. All right, come on in. This is a very interesting topic. Fiancé visa, spousal visa. I get those questions a lot. Which one should I choose? So we're going to discuss the pros and cons so you can decide which one you're going to choose. All right, come on in.
Muy bien, buenos días, acérquense a nosotros. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre los pros y los contras. ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre una visa de esposo, de matrimonio o una visa de prometido? ¿Ok? Entonces acérquense, estamos aquí con Ify en directo, estamos listos para apoyarlos.
Gracias, Denise. Thank you very much. You all know Denise. She's here to help us with our Spanish translations. So happy to have you in these lives. And before we get into the topic, just want to remind you all that we are still in February, which is our love month, the Valentine's Day month. And you all know it's cuffing season, where people are getting engaged, getting married. So to take advantage of this season, we are offering our 50% off consultations for newlyweds, people who are just interested in finding out how to get their green card through family. So click the link in my bio or look in the comment section. You will see the link to book a call with me so we can share with you, give you that confidence that you need to get your green card. And yeah.
Sí, muy bien, acérquense, recuerden que estamos aquí para apoyarlos, Ify, por todo el mes de febrero. Este es el mes del amor, entonces vamos a aprovechar, tenemos un link en los comentarios o directamente en nuestra web para agendar una llamada de estrategia directamente con Ify, ¿ok? Vamos a ponernos listas, aprovechen el 50% de descuento.
Gracias, Denise. I'm excited to get into the points. There are just a few points here so we can also answer the questions. I see some questions coming in already with our folks on TikTok. Thank you all for being here. I see people from Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Welcome to the live. Our points today are just going to focus on different things you should consider when you're going to choose between a fiancé visa and a spousal visa. Right? The main difference between these two types of visas is that one is for people who are married and one is for people who are not married. Another major difference is one is an immigrant visa, meaning it's a green card, and one is not a green card. Okay, I'm sure you can guess which one is not a green card by now, but we're going to get into the points today to help you know which visa you're going to choose when I get those questions, which one is the best, fiancé or spousal. They're both good visas, right? We just need to know the pros and cons so you can make an informed decision before you apply for any relationship-based visa.
Muy bien, entonces pues aquí vamos a remarcar dos puntos importantes, las diferencias entre la visa de esposo y la visa de prometida. Una visa de prometida y de esposo, la diferencia es una te lleva directo a la green card, a tu permiso de trabajo, y la otra no. Entonces ya vamos a saber cuál la diferencia y vamos a marcar también en las preguntas, vamos a aclarar cuál es la que a ti te conviene.
Gracias, Denise. The first point to that effect, what I'm saying is considering the economical factors for which visa you're going to apply for. If you're going to decide between a fiancé and a spousal visa, think about how much is this going to actually cost me. Okay, a fiancé visa generally will be much more affordable in the beginning. It will seem like it's a cheaper option, right? Because all you have to do is pay for the petition and then wait for your fiancé who lives abroad to go for the visa application. But if you really think about it, a fiancé visa ends up costing a lot more because remember, it's not a green card, it's just a non-immigrant visa. So when you go through the waiting time, you get the visa, you still have to come into the USA and plan a wedding, get married within 90 days, and then apply for your I-485. So there are essentially 3 steps in the fiancé visa process. Whereas the spousal visa is usually a one-step process, at the most two. If your spouse is outside the USA, you will be doing the petition and then getting the green card. And that's it. You're already married. You don't have to worry about those extra costs, because if you don't get married within 90 days with your fiancé visa, guess what? You're going to have to leave the USA and be out of status if you stay. Okay?
Muy bien, entonces un punto que primero queremos aclarar sería considerar para ambos factores el presupuesto. Parece más barato pagar por una visa de prometido porque piensas que solamente vas a hacer la solicitud y entonces esperas a que venga y te casas. Pero en realidad el proceso de prometido lleva 3 pasos que se pueden alargar. Tienes que venir a Estados Unidos, planear una boda y casarte en menos de 90 días. Si no te casas, tienes que volver, salir del país, y si te quedas, estás fuera de un estatus. Por lo que una visa de esposo puede que sea una mejor opción en el caso de económicamente hablando.
Gracias, Denise. That's a very good one to mention, because a lot of people, most immigrants, are concerned about the investments that they have to make in getting their green card. So when you're making these choices, knowing your investments is important. Knowing how to avoid unnecessary expenses is important. So that's why we talked about that one as the first point. So the next point I'm going to talk about here, puntos dos, is timing and process. Okay. We're going to consider how long does it take for each visa. That's essentially what many people want to know, because they want to hurry up and start, living with their spouses and building their life together. So very legit question. But if you're considering a spousal visa versus a fiancé visa, you want to know how long each of these processes are going to take. So how long is it going to take for a fiancé visa? The timing is generally 10 months to 15 months. That's a year to a year and a half. Okay. If you wait all this time, you're going to still end up with a non-immigrant visa, which is not a green card. It's just a visa for you to come into the US and get married to your spouse. Whereas with a spousal visa, you're going to wait for the same amount of time, sometimes a bit longer, because this is a green card. Okay. You're going to do police clearance. There are many requirements that you're going to need for the spousal visa before you're able to come in. However, with all that waiting time, you're getting your green card. So at the end of the day, if you're thinking about getting a fiancé visa or spousal visa, you're not sure which one to get, consider how long it's going to take. Okay. What are your plans? Like, are you ready to leave your country like fully and migrate to the USA and just live here permanently? Because that's what a green card is. You're not going to be, it's not a visa to travel back and forth. Or did you just meet this person on Facebook, and are you just wanting to, spend that time to get to know one another? So the year and a half, 1 year does not really matter to you. That's what you consider when making that type of decision. Make sense?
Muy bien, entonces pues para el punto número 2, y porque también queremos evitar gastos innecesarios, sería tiempos y procesos de cada visa. El tiempo de la visa de prometido generalmente es de 10 a 16 meses, entonces puede ser de 1 año a 1 año y medio, que parece fácil, pero si te vas directamente con la visa de esposos, aunque también parece un proceso más complejo, todo ese tiempo de espera ya lleva al punto en el que te entregan tu green card. Entonces es diferente si no tienes, por ejemplo, una relación muy sólida en donde apenas conociste a alguien en internet y queremos tener una visa de fianza y no te importa conocerlo así, está perfecto. Pero si ya tienes una relación más sólida y quieres venir y te quieres quedar en Estados Unidos, te conviene la visa de esposo.
Gracias, Denise. So another thing I will talk about, the final point before we get into the questions here, because I already see some questions coming in. Someone has gotten their K-1 visa approved and all that stuff. That's a petition. So another thing I want to discuss here is knowing your legal rights when it comes to your visas. What types of rights do you get based on a fiancé visa or a spousal visa? You need to know your rights and responsibilities to make a decision on which visa will be best for you. People come to my office and they want me to tell them which one to apply for. And honestly, I can't really tell you what to do when it comes to your immigration process, but I can tell you what the pros and cons are, like I'm doing right now, and then you can consider based on your situation, because every family is going to be different, which one works best for you. But when it comes to your legal rights as a fiancé visa holder, for example, your rights are limited, okay? You have limited rights, meaning you're just allowed to enter the USA for the purpose of getting married. Sometimes you can apply for a work permit. That's actually something that's allowed, but given the limited visa duration of 90 days, that's not very feasible for you to apply for I-765, get approved, and actually do any meaningful work during that time. So, it's just a visa it's a transitional visa, in my opinion. It's not really, your rights are limited just for that purpose, specific purpose of getting married. Okay, whereas a spousal visa, immediately you enter the USA, you're a permanent resident, you're allowed to start working, you're allowed to live here, travel back and forth to do whatever it is you need to do as a permanent resident to build your family and all that stuff. So you have a much broader advantage being on a spousal visa, let me put it that way. Both of them will get you to the USA, but one of them is definitely stronger, which is a spousal visa. If your goals align, and this is not somebody you just met yesterday on Facebook, and you already know you're going to be married. I meet people who already have children together. I meet other U.S. citizens who basically live abroad with their fiance. If that's the type of situation you're in and you already know in your heart that this is the person you're going to marry, a spousal visa is usually the better option here because of the abundance of benefits that you get. Okay, you're able to really just live. The only thing you can't do as a permanent resident is vote in an election. Okay, you're able to work in any job that you want, well, except government jobs. So there's some limitations there that you get after becoming a U.S. citizen, but it's, from permanent residency after 3 years, especially with a spousal visa, you're gonna go to citizenship, versus with a fiancé visa, you don't even know, what if you never get married to that person? You have to leave. It's not a visa that is permanent in any way. It's just to see if you can come into the USA and get married here and start building your life from there. Does that make sense?
Muy bien, entonces, pues vamos a tratar de resumir un poquito lo que nos dijo Aifi aquí. Muy bien, el siguiente punto es saber tus derechos y responsabilidades con cada una de las visas, porque hay diferencias realmente notorias, porque la visa de prometido es un proceso muchísimo más sencillo, pero tus beneficios son más limitados. Sí se puede aplicar a un permiso de trabajo con una visa de prometido, pero realmente no tiene mucho resultado beneficioso porque son 90 días, es un tiempo muy corto en el que realmente vas a tener tiempo para hacer algo, y a diferencia de los beneficios y todo lo que te puede dejar para ti una visa de esposo, es ya sé llegar con tu permiso de trabajo, listo para buscar un empleo, listo para tener tu green card, hacer tu vida. Eso es una gran diferencia. Entonces, si sabes que es la persona con la que te vas a casar, en tu corazón realmente, definitivamente te conviene ir por la visa de esposo, ya que realmente son muchos los beneficios. Puedes, después de 3 años, aplicar directamente a tu ciudadanía. A lo contrario, con la visa de prometido no vas a poder aplicar a nada más, y si no te casas vas a tener que retirarte del país. Llegando con la visa de esposo también, puedes aplicar como les comentaba, pueden aplicar para la ciudadanía, y una vez que ya esté todo listo, usted se le va a entregar su naturalización. Muy bien.
Gracias. Denise, we have discussed all the 3 main points. I'm going to get into the questions in a little bit, but I hope you all are able to see the pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages of whichever visa you're going to choose. None of them is the wrong answer, but each of them have their benefits. And I hope that while you're making a decision, you consider these long-term implications, such as how much it's going to cost, economic factors, how long it's going to take, and then also your rights that you get when you actually get the visa. Okay, so consider those things. And if you need help during this process deciding which type of visa you need, or if you already decided if you need help to file it, I'm here. I'm a licensed attorney located in Charlotte, but I help clients all over the USA. I can help you make that decision, help you file your paperwork, make sure you're not making any mistakes or, anything that will cause complications in your overall immigration journey, right?
Bien, entonces hemos discutido hoy los 3 puntos más esenciales entre las diferencias de una visa de esposo y de prometido. Hay que tomar en cuenta los 3 puntos que comentamos. El plan económico, saber cuánto vas a gastar en todo el proceso, y también los pros y los contras. ¿Qué te conviene más? ¿De dónde vas a tener más beneficio? Y cualquier cosa, cualquier duda, estamos aquí para apoyarlos.
Gracias, Denise. We're going to get into the questions now. So I see some coming in already. Thank you so much, Denise, for that explanation in Espanol. So we're going to read the questions. I don't see any on Facebook and YouTube de nada. I don't see any on Facebook or YouTube just yet. 1 second. I'm not sure what's going on here, but we're going to get into the ones on TikTok. So let's see. I see some questions really about what we're talking about today, the topic being the pros and cons between Fiancé Visa and Spousal Visa. So if you found any value in this, or you have more questions, follow-up questions, feel free to ask. This is the time that we're doing that. So let's get back into this. Oh, not that one. Okay. All right. Anyways, question time. I see Sarah Whiskey. Thank you for being here. Good morning. So let's go. Let's see which one. I see the one from, I'm going to look on my iPad here because I don't know what's going on with my screen.
And we have one from Instagram, but I think it just only says, mine, withdraw the application, reason unknown.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if anyone who has written that question would like to clear a little bit.
There. Say it again. I'm trying to get back to the screen, to our screen. For whatever reason, it kind of kicked me out of there. Okay, so that question says what?
We have one question on Instagram that says, mine, withdraw the application, reason unknown. So I think she's asking.
Probably what she should do after that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like maybe the fiance, the U.S. citizen, must have withdrawn the petition. Okay, I see. I actually got a consultation about that yesterday, where the U.S. citizen withdrew the application on what should happen then. So essentially, if the U.S. citizen, something I didn't point out in this live, and Denise, we should make sure we let everybody know that the only person that can actually apply for a fiancé visa is a U.S. citizen. U.S. citizens are the only petitioners allowed. So permanent residents can't do fiancé visa. So if you're considering both and you're permanent residents, unfortunately, your only option is just going to be a spousal visa, because permanent residents can file for their spouse, but not their fiancés. Okay. So for the person on okay, this is the Theodoxy. That's who asked the question on Instagram. Theodoxy, thanks for your question and for watching. But if your fiance withdrew the application, reason unknown, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that one, because it's just a fiance petition. Yeah, if it was a spousal, maybe like a I-130 thing, and your spouse withdrew, we may consider, was there any type of emotional abuse or reasons why that happened, and then maybe we'll consider a self-petition. But when it comes to fiancé visas, it's just what it is. If you're not engaged anymore, you're not engaged, and that's just it. So sorry that happened to you, Theodoxy, but thank you for asking. Reach out to us. Let's see if there are any other options you need. I'm not sure if you entered the USA already or if you're still outside waiting on that visa, but thank you for that.
Muy bien, entonces aquí estábamos hablando un poquito acerca de si una persona, la diferencia es importante marcarla. Los ciudadanos de Estados Unidos pueden aplicar para la visa de prometido y para la visa de esposo. Los residentes permanentes solamente pueden aplicar a la visa de esposos. Muy bien, y en el caso de nuestra pregunta aquí era si el ciudadano americano retira la petición para la visa de prometido, pues realmente ahí no hay nada más que podamos hacer. Básicamente consiste en que si ya no estás comprometido para casarte, pues lamentamos mucho que eso haya sucedido, pero sí, hasta ahí termina la solicitud.
Gracias. That's the only one I see from Instagram, so I'm going to go to the ones from TikTok. I'll just kind of answer them as they're coming. There are some that already asked at the beginning of the live, so if I miss your question, try to, just ask it again. We're trying to keep this at the 45-minute timeline so that we can have time to do your cases outside of here. So reach out to us. Let's talk about, basically getting into this filing process if that's something you're interested in. And we also come live every other day, essentially, to answer your questions. So if you missed this one, join us on the next live. It's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 11:15, thereabout. And then on our Facebook group, for sure, on Fridays, we're doing that one-on-one consults. Those are really fun. I had so much fun last Friday doing it. So definitely join us for that one. Okay. I'm going to get into the questions now. Denise, I'm not sure if you see the questions on TikTok. That would be cool if you can read the questions, because I loved how you read the theodoxy one. But I'll just read one for now. But if you see anyone on TikTok that, jumps out to you based on the topic we're discussing, let me know, and then we can answer that one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So someone says, this is Father Matombo. Matombo, thank you for being here. Matombo says, what if my wife withdrew the I-130, I-45 and divorced? How long do you have in the country after that? Ooh, Matombo, if your stuff got denied, well, if it got withdrawn, that means it got denied. So you probably got that letter that said you had like 30 to 33 days in the country, except, there's some other thing going on behind the scenes, because why would she just withdraw the I-130, without any reason? Did something happen? Did you consider doing a self-petition? Or reach out to me. Let's see about that. Okay. You did a vow self-petition. So if you did a vow self-petition, then the I-130 thing will not, matter, right? Because you're self-petitioning. So, anyways, let me know about that. Denise's question is about someone's spouse withdrawing. So that's something important to know, because once your spouse withdraws and you don't have any petition or application pending, you're basically going to be deportable. So that's definitely something everyone should know, so that they don't essentially fall into that trap. And if you are in that situation, definitely reach out to a lawyer ASAP so you don't get deported, essentially.
Muy bien, entonces aquí estamos hablando un poquito acerca de, ellos tenían ya una petición juntos, por alguna razón se retiró esta petición y ahora está sabiendo qué puede hacer. Generalmente es porque algo sucedió en la relación. Él comenta que ya tiene una petición propia por parte del VAWA, pues sería cuestión de darle seguimiento y saber ahí qué pasó.
Gracias for that. More questions are coming up. I see one about SIJ green card. We'll answer that one in a little bit. But essentially, if you're doing any relationship-based green card and there's something like this, only for the fiancé visa, like Theodoxy asked earlier, that, my hands are a little bit tied, except though you're already in the USA. There's some exceptions. When it comes to law, there's always exceptions to the rule. Okay, we deal with the rule of law, but you can always find an exception if you're dealing with someone who has experience in that area. So when it comes to fiancé visas, the exception to potentially self-petitioning, even though you never got married, is if that petition got approved and you actually came into the USA for that person and they turned around and became abusive to you in that, like severe abuse, and now you're trapped. You didn't get married. You're not able to return to your country. Maybe you got pregnant. I've seen that type of scenario before. So I know this happens. If that's you, you could potentially still file for some type of relief, because the only reason why you're in this country right now is because of that U.S. citizen that filed for you. And then all of a sudden they came here and they're now abusive. So, in those situations, you might have options. Definitely reach out to a lawyer if that's you going through abuse. All right?
Muy bien, entonces en el caso de que te trajeron aquí para casarte con tu visa de esposo y de repente la persona con la que decides hacer una vida se torna violento, es importante saber que sí podemos formar nuestra propia petición, tratar de salir de esa situación de abuso. No se queden ahí, contacten a un abogado, pueden confiar en nosotros, y si tú solicitas tu petición, pues básicamente se te otorga a ti el derecho de quedarte a trabajar, porque la única razón la que tú estés aquí es venir por parte de ese ciudadano. Entonces, si se puede, acércate a nosotros y aquí te podemos apoyar.
Gracias. Thanks for that. I scrolled up to TikTok because I saw one question in the beginning and I wanted to answer while we're doing the live. This was about the K1 visa, because we're talking about the K1. The fiancé visa, guys, is K1, in case you didn't know. K1 is for fiancé. Spousal visa is just spousal visa, or you might see CR1. CR1 means conditional relative or something like that, meaning you've been married for less than 2 years. But anyways, this question is relating to an approved K1 visa. So it sounds like the I-29F petition was approved in December of last year. When can the MVC send us an email? Okay, great question, Lou. Thank you for being here. I hope you're still here to get your answer. But Lou, if your K1 petition gets approved, or even if your I-130 petition gets approved, if you're doing a two-step consular processing, it usually takes 60 to 90 days to get that email that allows you to start applying with the USCIS. That just happened to us. I believe our approval was probably November, just some time before yours, and we just got the letter this month to start doing it. Okay, so you're still in good timing. You probably will get it at the end of the month or maybe beginning of March, but just keep an eye out for that email. Okay, that's the only way you're gonna know it's time for you to actually apply. You don't just go in and apply for a visa without being called to do it, especially when it comes to these types of visas. This is not a temporary visitor's visa. This is actually a visa with the intent to immigrate into the USA. So they're going to check your background. They're going to ask for your medical results. They're going to definitely do a lot more probing than you would for like a, B1, B2, for example. Okay.
Muy bien, entonces para aplicar directamente con la intención de residir aquí y una visa para quedarse, es importante esperar a ser llamados. Vas a tener una carta en tu puerta o un email de 60 a 90 días, que es lo que generalmente tardamos en recibir la notificación, para que entonces sí sepas que es tiempo de aplicar con la intención de emigrar, porque ellos van a revisar todo tu background, tu historial, van a revisar tus resultados médicos. Entonces es importante que los pasos y los tiempos los demos como ellos nos están marcando.
Sí, gracias. I see a question from Lisa M. Lisa, thank you for being here. I see other Lisas. So Lisa M, I hope this helps you with some clarity on how to get your green card. So Lisa's question is, my husband is American and I'm in the USA as a visitor. How can he apply for me to get my green card? So sounds like a typical scenario that we see in our law firm, where someone is in the USA on a different type of visa, another non-immigrant visa, perhaps a student visa, a B1, B2 visa, a J visa. Yesterday, I had someone on an A2 visa. A2 is a special diplomat visa or something. You know what I'm talking about, Denise. So I met someone with that visa, but it's the same scenario, right? They're on different random visas, but then they're married to a U.S. citizen. How do you get your green card? So the short answer to this is after 90 days, you're okay to get married. Well, I think you're already married. After 90 days of being in the USA, you're okay to apply to adjust your status, just as long as there was no misrepresentation when you entered the first time. Okay? Misrepresentation is pretty, I wouldn't say, like, it's something that happens. Sometimes people don't realize they've misrepresented because they ask you a question like, what are you coming to do in the USA? So if Lisa has a whole husband in the USA and she's like, oh, I'm coming to go to Disney, or I'm traveling to go see my sister, or just says some random thing, and then next thing turns around and goes to her husband and then files to adjust his status, that's misrepresentation. So even though, you know, you might be going to see your sister or going to Disney, but you shouldn't exclude the fact that you have a U.S. citizen relative that could apply for a visa on your behalf. Okay? So that's essentially how you can get your green card, applying for adjustment of status after 90 days of being in the USA. If the visa that you came in on was not specific for marriage, like the K1. K1 is specific for marriage. Tourist visa, B1, B2 is not specific for marriage. So definitely be careful with that and reach out to me to discuss before you file, because we need to know exactly when you came in, if there are any other red flags or things you should worry about before filing. Okay?
Muy bien, entonces en el caso de esta pregunta, si vienes con cualquier tipo de visa que no sea para emigrar directamente, que sea por estudio, que sea por visita, algo diplomático, cualquier tipo de visa que no sea la visa de esposo o de matrimonio, tienes 90 días, hasta después de los 90 días, para poder aplicar para ajustar tu estatus, siempre y cuando no se haya mentido a la entrada a inmigración, que tu motivo de entrada no haya sido oculto. Si dices que vas a ir a pasear a Disneyland, pero sabes que tú tienes un familiar, alguien que puede aplicar para ti, eso se lo tiene que hacer saber a la persona de la entrada. De todas maneras, si cambiaste tu estatus, recuerda que son 90 días después de haber entrado cuando ya puedes aplicar para cambiar tu estatus a través del matrimonio.
Sí, gracias. I see more questions coming up on TikTok. Yeah, I see more questions coming up on TikTok from Chucky. Chucky, thank you for being here. Cyborg, thank you all for being here. I think there's also one on YouTube, actually. So we'll get to that one. But let me just answer Chucky real quick on TikTok, because I think Chucky is missing an important step in getting a green card through marriage. Because the question says, how long does it take for a passport to be stamped after marriage? And I was like, passport? The passport doesn't get stamped automatically just because you got married to a U.S. citizen. So did you apply for I-130 petition? Did you start any process of actually getting immigration benefits to go get called for an interview and so on and so forth? You don't just say, hey, I'm married to a U.S. citizen, here's my passport, give me a visa, I'm out. That's not how it works. You have to actually prove the relationship is real, do the I-130 in the U.S., that gets approved, that gets sent to your home country, then you apply and so on and so forth, okay? That's essentially the process to get your passport stamped after marriage. It's a two-step process, okay? Chucky, I hope that helps you. Sí.
Entonces, aquí la pregunta del señor Chucky es, ¿cuánto tiempo van a tardar en darme la estampilla en mi pasaporte? No es que automáticamente vas a recibir tu estampilla, ellos tienen que comprobar que tu relación fue real, van a mandar un proceso de papeleo a tu país de regreso y después de dar todo el ciclo completo se te va a dar una estampilla, pero es todo un proceso, entonces pues básicamente también se trata de esperar. Y de llenar los papeleos correctos. Acércate, si necesitas orientación, acércate a nosotros. Aquí estamos para ayudarte.
Sí, gracias. Very important, muy importante to get your green card. So I see a question on YouTube. Let's answer that one. And there's like 45 more on
Yes, we
TikTok.
have Patricia. Patricia.
Patricia, okay, great question. This is about the Fiancé Visa. And guys, keep in mind, whenever you apply for anything with the USCIS, your decision could be approval or denial. There's really no telling on how it could go. When you work with us, we work hard to ensure that you avoid those things that could get you denied as much as possible. We still don't determine USCIS's decision, but we fight on your behalf to make sure that you're getting the accurate decision and not just getting denied for no reason specifically. So this question here, I'm going to break down some of the reasons why your visa could get denied. So it says, what are the options if for some reason my fiancé visa gets denied? Okay, so very good question. Thank you so much, Patricia, for that question. This will definitely shed some light for those of you who are considering a fiancé visa application. Make sure that you're avoiding these things so that you don't get denied, all right? So the main reason why a fiancé visa will get denied, number one, is that the person that is applying, the U.S. citizen, is not free to marry, meaning they either were married before, maybe they just separated, they didn't get a full divorce or anything like that, and they just started dating somebody and they want to invite them over because they see it as an invitation. But fiancé visa is not just an invitation. I get these questions on TikTok all the time. How do I invite my boyfriend? And some people haven't fully divorced. They're just not ready to be married, and then they apply. If you do that and you're not able to be married, you're going to get denied. Another thing I'll mention is if you have not seen each other face to face. That's another big factor. Okay, you're not ready to be married, and then you haven't even met each other. You just fell in love online, which is very possible these days. You know, the world has changed so much. You fall in love online, but you haven't seen each other. It's been 7 years. You've just been talking and texting. You apply for fiancé visa, is going to get denied. Those are the two main ones. There's a third one, and Denise, I'll let you explain after this final one. But the third other reason, and this will apply to a spousal visa, fiancé visa, any relationship-based visa, a big reason why it's to get denied is essentially because the relationship is not real. You haven't shown them enough evidence that the relationship is real. So if these three things were in your situation and you get denied, your option will be to refile because you're going to try to meet the requirement. Number one, get a full divorce, travel to meet the person. They're not going to come here to meet you for the first time. You're going to go to a third country. Okay, because that's another thing I hear. Can I just apply for them to come see me here for the first time? I'm like, no, go to Dubai, go somewhere else, go to Seychelles. I always mention these countries because if you're from an African country, you may not have a visa to go to another Western country. You just go somewhere else and meet each other for the first time and apply, and then make sure you take pictures and prove that the relationship is real, save your tickets, all that stuff. So those three things will cause you to get denied, and your option will be to file again, making sure you have stronger evidence. Okay? ¿Sí?
Sí, muy bien. Entonces, aquí serían las razones por las que podría ser negada nuestra visa de prometido. Una visa de prometido, una de las razones por las que se te puede negar sería, uno, que no estés disponible para realmente cumplir con el proceso o que no estaban listos para casarse. Si la persona se separó y nunca terminó el proceso de divorcio, se le va a negar la visa de fiancé, de prometido, porque no es una visa de visita. Ese es el segundo punto. Esta visa no es para traer un turista, no es para poder verse una vez. El hecho es que se van a casar y si no se usa como tal o no se le puede dar el uso, se te va a negar. También otra cosa por las que se te puede negar, I'm sorry, I got a little lost in the third point. I said two.
That's okay. The third point is about real relationship, right? That's essentially important for whether a spousal or a fiance. You know, if you don't have a real relationship, it could get denied. And the option at that point is to essentially prove that you have a real relationship with photos, all that stuff. Sí.
Muy bien, entonces eso, el último punto es literalmente, si no se han conocido una sola vez, por lo menos visiten un país, si no tienes una visa para un país diferente en el que te cueste trabajo entrar, busquen un punto en común, conózcanse una vez y es mucho más factible que se les apruebe la visa de fiancé.
Gracias. Thank you very much. I know like it's a lot when it comes to immigration, there's just a lot of moving parts, okay? And exceptions here and there, different relationships and all that. So you're doing great explaining it to our Espanol viewers. I appreciate you all. We already have like 3 Espanol clients right now, so I'm excited about that. Growing, yes. So thank you very much, all of you, for watching, sharing, and participating in these lives. I'm going to answer a few more questions here because we're basically running out of time. And I see more and more and more questions coming up. But let's look through and see which ones we can answer real quick. And if this live has provided any type of value to you right now, give me a thumbs up and make sure you're sharing with your friends, inviting them for our next live, and also booking a call with me. Thanks for the follow. But essentially, I hope we're providing some value here for you all today. Thumbs up in the comments. All right, Denise, let's look through and
we have a lot. I'm looking.
Yeah, I know we have a lot. So let's just see which ones we can actually give someone some clarity on today, and hopefully.
Okay, I see a question from Love.
Love, okay.
She has. She's like, what if my husband asked for the I-30 and I've been here for the last 15 years? Do I need to file for the waiver?
Oh, okay. Great question, Love. Thank you. So, Love, it sounds like you are in the USA already. Maybe you've overstayed your visa or something. Give us a follow-up. Did you enter with a visa or without a visa? Because if you've overstayed, that's a violation of your immigration. You may or may not need a waiver. Generally, with spouses of a U.S. citizen, it gets waived automatically. But if it's unlawful presence because you enter without a visa, yes, you need a waiver. You need an I-601A, which helps you prove that if you get removed, because you've lived in the U.S. for 15 years at this point, I'm pretty sure you have children and you've established your life here. But if you were to be sent back to your home country, that will cause hardship for your U.S. citizen husband and family. So you do need a waiver if you're once your I-130 gets approved. That's the next step before you actually go for an interview. Make sure you're not traveling outside the country without that waiver basically approved. Okay. During the Obama presidency time, they created that family reunification, a thing that allows you to stay in the USA until that's approved. Okay. It's a waiver of inadmissibility, Love. Just reach out to my office and then we can help you with that filing. It's an I-601A. That's the form, but this is not something that you can do on your own because proving hardship is you're not just going to write a letter. One time I had a consultation with someone who was denied and tried to prove hardship for themselves. And, it was interesting to see the extent that she went to, not really realizing the seriousness of this because she just wrote a simple letter. She was just like, I've been a good citizen, basically like saying I deserve this green card, which she most likely did. But the focus is not on you, Love. It's on the U.S. citizen and your U.S. citizen family. Those are the people that need to experience hardship. If you're experiencing hardship as a non-citizen, they're like, okay, then go back home. But since you're here 15 years, this is a great question. I'm glad you asked, but make sure that you're getting that waiver before you get to step 2 of this process. Okay? Gracias. You're muted.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Ok, para contestar la pregunta de aquí de la persona Love, si su esposo ya llenó la solicitud por ella a través del matrimonio, la I-30, ella tiene 15 años adentro del país, entró sin una visa, sin un permiso de trabajo, por lo que ella pregunta, ¿se necesita llenar como la excusa para no salir del país? Sí, la excusa es el waiver. Con la excusa podemos promover que tú te quedes en el país porque puede afectar la vida del ciudadano americano y muy probablemente también tengas hijos. Eso puede causar una complicación en el círculo familiar. Con eso se puede apoyar a que tú te quedes y con el tiempo obtengas tu permiso de trabajo y tu green card legalmente.
Sí, gracias. Thank you very much for that explanation. I think that's the only one we can potentially answer at this point because we are at the 45-minute mark. I'm so sorry, guys, for all the questions that I see here that we are not able to get to today, but join me here again on Thursday. We're going to do another live session, and on Fridays we do just Q&As. Okay, that's a longer session where we're just answering questions, no discussions, nothing, just questions. So join us on Friday for that type of live, so that we don't miss your questions. For someone that asked about the SIJS, I saw that earlier. That's about the Special Immigrant Juvenile. That's a process that helps people who are under 21, generally, who have been abandoned by their family and their parents abroad, and now they're here in the USA. So that type of process leads to a green card. And I think the question at that time was, how long is it going to take to get a green card? So it usually takes anywhere from a year to 3 years, because you have to get the SIJ. This was from Ali. Ali, I don't know if you're still here, but you have to get the SIJ first, go through that process. Once you get approved, you wait for another year or two, and then you can apply for your I-485. So that's essentially that process. And for minors, you get the waiver of inadmissibility is pretty much, I mean, you get your unlawful presence get waived automatically, basically, because you're a minor with basically no help from anywhere. So that's one of the advantages. So reach out to us for any type of visas like this. If you're doing a family-based visa, fiancé visa, if you want a special immigrant juvenile, if you entered without inspection and you need a waiver, you need to be able to prove hardship, reach out to us. Let's guide you on what types of hardships, extreme hardships, the USCIS will consider to allow you to stay here, build your family together. Again, I'm Ify with my team, Denise and Patricia here. Thank you all for this wonderful live, for the support. Excited to help you all with your cases. So reach out to us. We're eager to pick up your calls. That's, I have a consultation coming up. That's why we're even ending. But yes, thank you again, and have a great rest of your day. Gracias.
Yay, gracias.
Sí. All right. So, how do we say ending in español?
Muy bien, terminando nuestro live ahora sí. No olviden en contactarnos, aprovechen el 50% de descuento y estamos para servirles, ¿ok? Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Muchas gracias. All right. Bye. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.